Hello, viewers. Today, I would like to continue the discussion on my channel regarding Final Fantasy VIII, Rinoa, and Ultimecia. I have something very interesting to present, and that is the Occult fan magazine, which some of you may have remembered from the game. It was a magazine that was basically an esoteric, occult-type conspiracy magazine. It has a lot of cultural relevance, I think, to be frank. From a writing perspective, it shows that essentially the writers knew about what occultism was, they knew about conspiracies. And that is very significant when you're talking about a story in which you could potentially hide something, and that is what me and many others believe who happen to have the belief that Rinoa is Ultimecia. Now, many of you already know what I'm going to say, and this is for all new viewers. For those of you who have watched this channel, you know what I'm going to say. A few years ago, or at least a couple, during an interview regarding Dissidia NT, Yoshinori Kitase sat down with some people. They asked him a few questions about the Rinoa is Ultimecia belief, idea. And Yoshinori Kitase said that he retracted his statement completely. He said that considering that there were three writers and he was only one part of the creative process, he does not know if Rinoa is Ultimecia. So I just have to say that in front of every video because I do have many people who come to my channel and are somewhat annoyed by the fact that I even talk about this belief that Rinoa is Ultimecia, that many of us who especially played the original game during the Squaresoft days, before the Square Enix game, before it became Square Enix, the company did, many of us believed that Rinoa is Ultimecia, without any doubt, and so that was a big old idea, old belief going right. There's a whole thing in Japan where people believe that. There's a thing in America. Everywhere you go, for some reason, there are player bases all over the world who've played this game, and people have come to the same conclusion, disconnected even from other players. This was before the internet was very as advanced as it is now. Sure, it was there in the 90s, but you didn't have things like Reddit and YouTube and Twitter and places where you could just really share information. People were sharing information, but this was happening in isolated instances. For myself, I had come to this idea myself. I had started to believe in it myself. And I think when I saw the ending, that was when it was without any doubt for me. To me, that ending was just too weird. How, she was when you're fighting Ultimecia, she's talking about childhood, all of a sudden, you win, you beat the game, you get the ending, your characters are, Squall's walking around, you go right back to that scene in the ballroom, and you're wondering why? Why here of all places? What is the purpose behind, the scenes that you see after you win the game? And I could talk about a lot of other things, but for now, we are going to isolate this whole discussion to the Occult Fan magazine. Firstly, we're going to talk about a real-world magazine that has to do with conspiracies and occult phenomena, known as the 14 Times. This is a magazine about UFOs, ghosts, anything weird that you may find in the world. Occultism, magic, you could say, things that are strange. It is a real magazine. It has to do with occultism. If you know very much about what occult means, occult is just simply a word that means hidden. It means the same thing as esoteric. Occult things are hidden things. Witches themselves practicing witches and practicing magic practitioners practice what may be called the mysteries in a, very broad sense. And so to them, hidden things are very important. Now, just from an amateur observer's perspective, so to speak, mysteries are also very interesting. And so you have magazines like the 14 Times. You can buy this magazine. It has a long history. It is named after 14, the word 14, the word 14 comes from the name Charles Fort. He was a researcher and investigator of occult phenomena, and this man would write a book called The Book of the Damned. In other words, this was a book of information that people had basically damned, scientists and other investigators, because this was information that was too weird to be considered mainstream. And so, that's why he named this book of weird information The Book of the Damned. And so, after his death, people would go on to create a magazine called the 14 Times. I'm not sure if it was created in Britain or the United States, but Charles Fort did a lot of traveling in his day. That was one of his big major accomplishments that he was very proud of. They traveled all over the world. Souffle. It was quite an experience for him. I think he wrote a lot about it as well. There's a whole biography about him. But he wrote a lot of books, and basically he would write many books, and these books would be filled with strange scientific reports, real scientific reports that you can find, and they would just be filled with strange information, things falling from the sky, red rains, black rains, reports of rains where there would be frogs and fish falling from the sky. I know it sounds weird, but he went through scientific journals and he found information that people just do not talk about. Weird things, strange things, appearances, ghosts, phenomena, psychic abilities, all of these things he put into a book. He put into various books. He wrote about at least 4 books. There was one book that he wrote that he was going to publish, but apparently he got in an argument with his wife, and his wife just burned all the notes because his wife was angry at him. And apparently, him and his wife, although they did not have any children together, they were very close. And so, it was one of those relationships where, you have two people, they get along, but, they get in stupid little fights. But he did everything in his books. They all come from very reputable sources. The man did an incredible amount of research. So you have a whole word called 14. Now, 14 has to do with weird things, occult things, esoteric things that are hidden, strange, weird that you wouldn't normally hear about. Now, Final Fantasy VIII is interesting because they do the same thing with a magazine called the Occult Fan Magazine. Now, the writers must have an understanding of the occult, of conspiracies and things that are hidden. And this is something I have wanted to sort of express to many of the players of Final Fantasy VIII. So let us just get right to it and read, all the Occult Fan issues, so that I can basically show you the secret that is hidden in the Occult Fan Magazine. There's a very big secret in the Occult Fan Magazine. And you have to pay attention to certain details in the story and also have a certain degree of knowledge in order to really utilize this information to sort of use this to enjoy your experience as a Final Fantasy VIII player and understand the story to an even greater degree. So let us begin. Occult Fan number 1. Exclusive. Mysterious monster death. Odell Burke of Timber was tending to his field when he found a dead monster after hearing a loud impact sound. Mr. Burke said it occurred while he was making a fence with steel pipes, an extremely strange death. So, you have things like this, and what they are essentially here in the magazine, they're just going to give you strange report after strange report, and they're all connecting to something. They're connecting to Doom Train. They're connecting to the Doom Train ring. For If you don't know that, I'm sorry I spoiled things, but you're kind of being spoiled anyway. This is for sort of the veteran players of Final Fantasy VIII. People, especially people who were, 90s kids. And people who are older than that even. I myself am a 90s kid. I was born in the 90s. And this was a big thing for me, this game. Occult fan number 2 photo exclusive. It's an unidentified flying object. On the left is a photo shot in S-Star. Take a look at the unidentified flying object in the center. Have you ever seen any monster or airplane like this? Some say it may be Esther's secret weapon, but residents of the area say it appears when there is a major Marlboro outbreak. So you see, this whole magazine is just conspiracies, weird information. It's like the 14 Times. It's a magazine where, if you were to tell people things like this in the real world, if you had a magazine equivalent, it would be the 14 Times. People would say, oh, those are conspiracies. Those are conspiracies. What are you talking about? This is very important because it shows the level of cultural knowledge that the writers had. I continue to praise the writers of Final Fantasy VIII because Final Fantasy VIII has come under the attack of being a shallow game with a shallow story, and the story, in many people's opinion, means nothing. It's just a weird story that they cannot understand and they hate it. But Final Fantasy VIII, in my opinion, is a masterful story. Okay? Now we're going to go to the third. This is the most important of any issue of Occult Fan magazine, and it will reveal the secret of royalty, rings, and guardian forces. And what a royal person is capable of when they have a ring. That is very important. Anyhow, Occult Fan number 3, Summoning Legend revealed. Look at this picture. This is a confidential photo of what is assumed to be a ring that summons a guardian force. Legend goes that it was a ring that belonged to a royal family. Its name and whereabouts are unknown. The legend says you must have 666 items to summon the guardian force. Okay, now this is a reference to the biblical mark of the beast in the book of Revelations. This is how good, how skillful these writers are. Now, if you did not have any cultural context, you would not know about that. There are plenty of people who say, oh, Japanese people aren't religious, or Japanese people don't know anything about religion. They're all atheists, and, no, that's not true. They're as interested in religion and symbolism and all of these matters as much as any other Westerner. And they know a great deal about it. There are craft mason lodges in Japan. Now, some of you may understand the significance of what I have just said. But there are occult fraternities in Japan, that have been brought over from the West. They are very familiar with Western occultism and Western religious phenomena, especially in the artistic community. And that is very obvious if you look at the games and you understand the cultural and the religious context behind them, and much of the symbolism in them. Now, we're going to read the last one, and then we're going to come back to 3. Okay? This is Occult Fan number 4. Unidentified flying object revealed. Our research on the flying object revealed, that a devil left may be flying and attacking people. Another theory calls it an alien on the right. So in other words, the idea is that basically you have the alien, people want to blame the alien, but they're saying, oh, it could be the devil, it could be the alien. In other words, it could be the Doom Train, or it could be the alien. Neither has been proven, but people that were attacked all on ST full recovery medicine. Okay, status full recovery medicine is very interesting. So you can find the alien and attack the alien, but really it's the Doom Train that's going around and really sort of attacking people. But, it could be both. But I don't think the alien does, because when you find the alien, you fight the alien. The alien is friendly. The alien doesn't attack you. And I don't like really attacking this alien. You have to give him a full elixir or a mega elixir or something to heal him. And I think that's just mean, because now he can't fly away. Really, it's the Doom Train attacking people. That's what I think. Because if you look here, you can see the monster's right here. But you see there's 2 tracks here. You see, these are hidden things in the game. You would not understand this unless you're looking and reading. They're telling you the Doom Train is attacking. It's a very mysterious magazine, and it's hiding more than one secret. This is not the only secret here. Another secret, as I said, is the fact that a royal person can have a ring. That ring can basically have a guardian force attached to it. And they were very specific in telling you royalty owned this ring. Now we have the exact same thing that happens in Final Fantasy VIII with Rinoa and Griever, because Griever is a ring from Squall that's named Greiver. Rinoa gets her own made. At one point she has both Squall's and her own ring for a time. But basically, she had her own ring made. Now, some of you may say, well, Rinoa isn't royalty. She's just the daughter of General Caraway. But if she was not royalty in the story, if she was not presented as royalty in the story, why do they continue to call Rinoa the princess? So this is very significant. It may be something that passed over many of you. Many of you, peradventure, did not know about it. Many of you probably thought, well, I didn't really think about that. I didn't think that Rinoa was the princess. Well, Rinoa is the princess. She is stated multiple times to be a princess, and that makes her royalty. Okay, I mean, whatever you want to think about it, in Final Fantasy VIII, Rinoa is royalty. She is. So we have Watts. He says, it's the princess's nap time, sir. Zone says, hey Squall, sorry, but could you go get the princess? Okay, what do we have here? We have people who are just on the train in Timber and say, our princess is in the room further down. You talk to the other guy, says, what? You're going to rake the princess? You've got some guts, man. In other words, Rinoa is called the princess. She is the princess in this game. Her position in the game is royalty. Now, whether you consider that to be like she's real royalty, or if you're just saying she's figurative royalty, it does not matter. The fact is that Rinoa is presented as royalty. Okay. Now, you may say, what's the significance of this? Who cares? Well, it matters to us who are the believers that she is royalty, because it says, what? This is a confidential photo of what is assumed to be a ring that summons a guardian force. Legend goes that it was a ring that belonged to a royal family. Now, we have wondered when we play Final Fantasy VIII, we get to Ultimecia, she summons Griever with no problem at all. She doesn't have to draw it from Squall's body or anything. She summons Griever like Griever is already there. She has full capability to summon him. She didn't even have to draw it from Squall's body. When she used the Apocalypse spell, she has to draw it from her own body. Now, the obvious, implication from people who do not believe Rinoa's Ultimecia is that Ultimecia got Griever from Squall, but we know how magic works in this game. If you're going to get Griever from Squall, you have to draw from him first. And the way Ultimecia summoned Griever was weird, because she didn't have to draw it from Squall. There was no animation for her doing that, but when she used the Apocalypse spell in her third form, she has to draw it from the bottom part of her body. The magic generator that she's created is a whole nother part. That's the part that looks like the robot with one eye. Her real body is hanging underneath. Now, that does not make sense from a story perspective unless you're able to conclude, wait, she already had Griever in the first place. Now, the fact that they say royalty can basically have a ring that can possess a GF, that can be used to summon a GF. Wow, that's interesting. That makes you think, well, Rinoa is royalty. She's called the princess, and she has a ring. You get to name that ring Griever. So Rinoa has a ring. Rinoa is royalty. So you can take this as an occult tip that what I have discussed on this channel is, yes, the game is very outright telling you that this is happening. The game is not, they're not telling you outright in an explicit way. They're telling you in an implicit way. They are telling you in an occult way. Like, this is a conspiracy in the game. They have a whole magazine in the game dedicated to conspiracies, just like the 14 Times in the real world. It's a whole magazine dedicated to weird phenomena. Okay. I mean, that's very interesting. In other words, you can be, the truth that's in the game. You have to be a conspiracy theorist to find, because you're not going to find that they even have a magazine that's dedicated to weird happenings, conspiracies, and hidden things. A whole ring in the game that you can use to summon a guardian force. They're showing you that this is possible. They're showing you that this has happened before. So if it can happen with Doom Train, and they're showing you that Doom Train is just going out here acting independently, but whatever he was, like his essence is tied to this ring. So they're telling you, hey, yeah, Doom Train is out there. He comes from a ring. We know about it. It used to be this old royal family. One of them had a ring, and I guess, somehow, this ring has a guardian force in it. And Griever is what you name, the guardian force. You name your lion Greiver. The ring that Rinoa wants to know about, that Squall has it's a ring of Griever. That's what the whole ring is depicting. Now I'm going to show you something a bit interesting. This is something that has to do with a boy you meet in Dolet. Now, he is going to do something to his grandfather's painting. He will keep painting a white bone in the painting. And his grandfather's getting angry about this, because he's saying, why do you keep putting this white bone? I don't like this in my painting. It's ruining my painting. And so the boy, he will continue to do this. And the grandfather will just get progressively angrier. He's like, look, my paintings do not need a right bone. And the boy's saying, this is how I express myself. I think the painting needs that white bone. I think the painting needs that. It's significant from an artistic perspective, from a writing perspective, from you creating a piece of art and telling people, hey, this is my piece of art. This white bone may not make sense to you, but I'm going to put this white bone in this painting. And when you think about it, Ultimecia is somewhat like the white bone. A lot of people have problems with the game because they have problems with Ultimecia as a villain. They say, Ultimecia, we could have a better villain. What's Ultimecia's backstory? She's like Necron. There's nothing that explains her. But to those of us who have looked into it and we kind of know, we think about it. And we come to the conclusion, we know why that white bone is there. We know why Ultimecia is there. Because Ultimecia is just an aspect of Rinoa. This is who she becomes. For those of us who've come to that conclusion, our ideas are a bit different. And we say, hey, we appreciate the white bone because we understand why the white bone is there. The grandfather who's angry is the grandfather who represents the player base. The players just, I don't understand this. I don't understand this game. This game is so stupid. Why can't it be more like Final Fantasy VII when they're explained a bit more? Why can't it be like Final Fantasy IX? The white bone is showing you that even though, you may not understand this, no, the artists know what they're doing. They put that white bone in there for a very specific reason. This is their artistic expression. This is what I liked about old Final Fantasy games, especially Final Fantasy VII, VIII, and 9, though I like 9 the least because Beatrix, I can never beat, Beatrix, we never get to beat Beatrix, and I never recovered from that. I thought, oh my goodness, Beatrix is just, why can't I defeat her? The game won't let me. Okay, that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But anyhow, we're going to see the scene, and it may mean something to you, because it meant something to me. So basically, what will happen is that you will go back to this painting a few times, and just like the girl said, the painting is the white bone is going to show you the secret hiding place of a doggy, or of anywhere. Basically, he's gonna paint the white bone. It's going to be around different places around town. And so you go to these places, you'll find a hidden item. Wherever the white bone is where a hidden item is. And so you have the idea of hiding something in a piece of art and putting it there in a very expert fashion. In other words, there's a meaning behind putting the white bone there. And so just like in the Occult fan magazine, where everything, you may read it and you say, wow, this magazine seems pretty crazy. This is basically a conspiracy magazine. Well, there's a reason behind the mystery. And so the white bone, as an artistic decision, as a choice of the writers to put the white bone in the game, and the boy who paints the white bone in his grandfather's painting, is to show you this game is created in a certain way where you have to pay attention. You have to pay close attention to detail if you want to understand it. Excuse me, to put it simply, you can interpret that any way you want to, but I will put it this way. To me, it seems pretty obvious. If you're an artist, you don't just come up with stories for no reason. There's a reason why you think of a story and you come up with a little quest like that. This has to do with art. This has to do with artistic decision, artistic depiction, what you want to do as an artist, how you want to do it. Is the white bone the boy paints, does it have a meaning? Does it have a use? Does it have a purpose? And it does. Every time you look in the places where that white bone was, you find something hidden. This is teaching you to think a certain way when you're playing the game. Okay, I mean, the game is a painting. The game is a piece of art. There are things hidden in the game. You know, this may come as a surprise to those of you who are used to, you know, consuming media and art without thinking much about it. But they're trying to get their players in the habit of thinking about what they have made and put effort into making. And so it's very interesting. They're telling you there may be things you may not understand about our little painting here, our little piece of art, Final Fantasy VIII. But if you look into it, if you think about it, if you pay some attention to it, you will understand why we put that white bone there. Okay. And for those of us who are the believers, Ultimecia is our white bone. I mean, let me just be honest. She is our white bone. You know. So, what does the girl say? You talk to the girl, he says his doodles show the secret hiding place of a doggy. And when you go to wherever that doggy is, you're going to find an item. And you're going to do this several times. And every time you go to where the white bone is, where the hint is, you're going to find an item. So that they're showing you you're going to be rewarded, you know, by paying very close attention to this art. Now, very interesting. And of course the grandfather is very angry about this. He thinks the grandson hates him. But the girl understands. The girl understands that, you know, he's hiding little things. He's hiding little things. You see, the grandfather does not understand that his grandson is doing things like the girl. She knows. She's okay. He's just. It's a game he plays. It has significance. It has a purpose. You may not think it does, but it does. It does. It's very interesting. And it's showing that the little boy, although he does this thing, what he's doing artistically is it's significant in that, you know, there's something to be found. There's something to be found in these hidden things. I took a detour here to the bar, but I mean, I really hope that I went to the bone, to the hiding spot, because I may have played a card game here, did I? Oh yeah, I played a card game. Let me... Okay. I mean, that guy was easy to play in cards. I bought some weapons. Okay, let me see. Because I'm almost where it gets the bone. So I'll just wait until I get my items. I have unlimited money because, you know, I mean, basically this is a whole lore playthrough for me. I don't want to make it too challenging and difficult for myself because this is all about the lore. This is about the story. This is about finding the things in the story, understanding what the writers have put in the story. Is this too loud? I wonder if it is. So there you go. You have to look underneath the bone and you find something hidden. So him putting the bone in the painting has a meaning. It has a purpose. Now when you go back, that's when the rest of the quest sort of progresses. I kind of took a detour here again to the beach, I think. So you come in here again, the grandfather's back. Every time I finish a new painting, that boy has to mess it up. I've had it up to here. Next time he pulls the prank, I'm gonna coochie coo the bottom of his feet. I don't know what he means by that, but I mean, it pisses him off. He's like, you ruin these paintings with white bones. So then give in to the coochie coo on his neck. Is he doing something? I don't know what the grandfather's up to. Artists have to fight for their creativity. Okay, I mean that is as clear a message as you can get. Okay, so the boy said it. He expressed something about creativity and art. He said artists have to fight for their creativity. And this game, Final Fantasy VIII, is full of creativity, but it's also full of things that many players will not understand. You're gonna ask yourself a lot of questions as you're playing this game. You say, why are things the way they are? I don't understand it. And that's one of the reasons why Final Fantasy VIII is one of the least popular Final Fantasy games. I mean, there are a lot of people that have a passion against Final Fantasy. I can't understand it. It pisses me off. I don't like it. But for those of us who do know what they've been trying to express, in many of the things that are kind of hidden, I mean, like the Occult Fan magazine, that's a whole conspiratorial magazine, and one of the biggest secrets in it that you get to learn in this game is that there was a royal person who owned the Doom Train ring, and, you know, Rinoa, her name is the princess. But let's go over that name again. I mean, and I say her name is the princess because her name, Rinoa, means princess. Rinoa, not only is it a variation of Lenore, but it is also Italian for queen, princess, royalty. It has a big deal of significance. So let's go and look at that very quickly. So we have Ask Oracle. Rinoa is a beautiful and unique name with a strong feminine feel of Italian origin. It means queen or royal, evoking a sense of strength, grace, and leadership. Okay, in other words, in Italian, this means queen or royal. Okay, we know that Rinoa is what she's called, a princess. We go back to Occult Fan issue 3. Okay, this is a confidential photo of what is assumed to be a ring that summons a guardian force. Legend goes that it is a ring that belonged to a royal family. So in other words, these royal families, you have an incident where a royal family had a ring, and that ring happened to become sort of, you know, somehow it has a guardian force. I mean, you name your ring, you name your lion, you name Griever, you know, which your ring, you know, Squall's ring has a lion on it. Rinoa, she basically gets a ring made like Squall of the lion Greiver. And who is Rinoa? Rinoa is called the princess. Let's go to even more connections here. You know, we have every single instance of Rinoa being called the princess from early in the game to late in the game. Furthermore, if we go into this royalty archetype even more, we notice that Rinoa, her home, you know, her father, General Caraway, the whole home that she lives in is a castle. I mean, you can't deny that's a castle. Ultimecia has a castle. I mean, they're both royal characters. I mean, what is a castle in the American Heritage Dictionary? A large fortified building or group of buildings with thick walls usually dominating the surrounding country. A fortified stronghold converted to residential use. A large ornate building similar to or resembling a fortified stronghold. And it does. It's a castle. I mean, this is an artistic thing. This is another artistic white bone where you say, why can't the house be normal? Why does it have to look like this? It's so weird. because it has significance. Ultimecia lives in the castle, and so does Rinoa. Rinoa's the princess. Ultimecia, I mean, you can call her a queen, you can call her an evil demon queen or whatever, who has a bunch of monsters in their castle, but you cannot deny the royalty of these characters. Okay? They're royal characters. I mean, we don't have to go into the whole, theorizing if there's a royal family behind it, because the way they're presented is as royals. Okay? This is not something explicit, it's implicit, but it's so overtly shown in your face. It's like a white bone. I mean, there are many white bones in Final Fantasy VIII. From an artistic perspective, from a writing perspective, all right, there are many white bones. Many of you know what I'm saying. For those of you who, you're not so good in regard to intuitive thinking, you're more of a, technical person, I would think even you would be able to understand this, even if you're more on the technical side and not so much on the intuitive side of thinking, but you can kind of get what I'm saying. We have Britannica's Pocket Encyclopedia. Castle, medieval European stronghold, generally the fortified dwelling of a king or lord of the territory in which it stood. So there we go. Rinoa, in my opinion, is definitely a role character. This is something we're going to come back to occasionally because it's something that has significance to what we're talking about. So I just wanted to share that with all of you. Okay, and what else did I want to share? Yeah, that was it. That was basically it, I think. Yeah, that was it. I mean, basically, they're all calling her the princess. I mean, without any doubt. This is the truth. So, I mean, it's just a very interesting thing. There are many hidden things in this game. You can tell some people, and I think some people just don't believe it. They just think, oh, there's not many hidden things in this game. No. Take a look at the details, and you will understand what I'm talking about. You will understand just how culturally significant Final Fantasy VIII is as a game. But this was a very interesting conversation. It is always a joy to talk about this with you. I would like to say, may you be blessed and farewell. This was just excellent. I really did like this.